Before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to be the first to experience these bone-chilling stories.
I hesitated to share this tale, for the memories it holds are etched in terror and the chilling presence of the supernatural. But perhaps by recounting my harrowing experience, I can shed light on the horrors that can lurk in the darkest corners of our world. It was a crisp autumn night, the moon hanging full and heavy in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. I found myself walking along a secluded forest path, the crunch of fallen leaves beneath my feet echoing through the stillness of the night. Unbeknownst to me, danger stalked these woods, an ancient evil that would forever change my life. As I wandered deeper into the heart of the forest, a chill wind whispered through the trees, sending shivers down my spine. I sensed a presence, an inexplicable weight that settled upon the air. A growing unease clawed at my senses, urging me to turn back, to retreat from the unknown. But curiosity pushed me forward, the allure of unraveling the mysteries of the night overpowering my instincts. I pressed on, my heart pounding in my chest, every rustle of leaves and crack of branches heightening my apprehension. Suddenly, a bone-chilling howl echoed through the night, its haunting timbre piercing the silence. My blood ran cold, and a surge of adrenaline surged through my veins. I knew then that I was not alone in these woods, that something sinister lurked in the shadows. As if summoned by my fear, a creature emerged from the underbrush, its form monstrous and grotesque. It stood on two legs, towering over me with a snarl that revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth. The moonlight gleamed on its matted fur, and its eyes burned with an otherworldly hunger. I had come face to face with a werewolf, a creature of myth and nightmares. Panic gripped me, but I knew that I had to fight for my life, to defy the fate that awaited me. With a burst of adrenaline-fueled energy, I sprinted through the forest, the werewolf close on my heels. Its heavy paws pounded the ground behind me, its growls reverberating through the night. I zigzagged through the trees, desperate to outmaneuver the beast, my mind racing for a way to survive. In the chaos of the chase, a small ravine appeared before me, a treacherous gap that threatened to swallow me whole. Without thinking, I leaped, my body soaring through the air, landing with a bone-jarring thud on the other side. I scrambled to my feet, pain throbbing through my limbs, and continued my desperate flight. Through sheer luck or divine intervention, I stumbled upon an abandoned cabin nestled deep within the forest. The door creaked open, its hinges groaning in protest. I rushed inside, my heart pounding in my chest, and barred the entrance behind me, praying that it would offer me respite from the relentless pursuit. As the werewolf clawed at the door, its snarls a symphony of feral rage, I searched the cabin for any means of defense. My hands settled on a fireplace poker, its iron weight comforting in my grasp. I steeled myself, ready to face the monster that lurked just beyond the threshold. The door splintered under the force of the werewolf's assault, and it burst into the cabin, its primal fury unleashed. I swung the poker with all my might, the iron connecting with bone and sinew. The creature recoiled, a howl of pain escaping its jaws. It lunged at me, teeth bared, but I fought back with a ferocity born of survival. We battled in that cramped space, the cabin filled with the clash of our struggle. Blood stained the walls, a testament to the violence of our encounter. The werewolf's strength was unearthly, but my will to live burned brighter. With a final blow, I struck the creature's head, sending it sprawling to the ground. It lay motionless, its form shifting and convulsing until it transformed back into its human guise. I stared at the lifeless body before me, a mix of relief and horror washing over me. I stumbled out of the cabin, my body battered and bruised, but my spirit unbroken. I had faced the supernatural, a beast of nightmares, and emerged victorious. The world would never be the same for me, the shadows holding a new terror, but I carried with me the knowledge that courage and determination could triumph over even the most monstrous of adversaries. So, dear reader, heed my cautionary tale. Beware the darkness that lurks beyond the familiar, for there are creatures that walk among us, their existence hidden beneath layers of myth and legend. Trust your instincts, fight for your life, and may you never have to face the horrors that I encountered on that fateful night. The abandoned psychiatric hospital stood like a decaying monument of darkness on the outskirts of town. Its crumbling walls and broken windows seemed to whisper tales of torment and despair. and it was within those haunted halls that I found myself trapped, facing a nightmare beyond my wildest imagination. Curiosity had led me to this forsaken place, unaware of the horrors that awaited me. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the dilapidated building. As I stepped through the creaking entrance, a chill ran down my spine, as if the very air within was laced with a malevolent presence. The flickering of my flashlight revealed a scene of desolation. The remnants of forgotten lives lay strewn across the floor, tattered patient records, broken furniture, and shattered glass. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant sound of a door creaking open. A shiver ran down my spine as a strange scent filled the air, a mix of decay and musk. Fear began to gnaw at my insides, warning me of impending danger. But it was too late to turn back. I was already ensnared in the web of this forsaken place. As I cautiously made my way through the labyrinthine corridors, a series of low growls echoed through the halls. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and a cold sweat trickled down my forehead. I knew I was not alone. Suddenly, the overhead lights flickered to life, casting a pale, sickly glow on the peeling walls. The sound of heavy footsteps reverberated through the corridor, growing closer with every passing second. Panic surged within me as I desperately sought a hiding place. Ducking into an open door, I found myself in a small, dimly lit room. The stench of decay clung to the air and my heart raced in my chest. It was then that I caught a glimpse of my pursuer, a figure lurking just outside the room, its shadow elongated and distorted. My blood turned to ice as I recognized the unmistakable silhouette of a werewolf. Its hulking form stood tall and powerful, muscles rippling beneath its matted fur. The creature's snout curled into a sinister snarl, and its eyes burned with a primal hunger. Fear paralyzed me as the werewolf entered the room, its predatory gaze fixated upon me. I clutched at my flashlight, my only source of defense, and prayed for a miracle. With a sudden burst of courage, I shone the beam of light directly into the creature's eyes. The werewolf recoiled, its pained howl echoing through the corridors. Seizing the opportunity, I fled from the room, adrenaline surging through my veins. I sprinted down the corridor, searching for an escape from this waking nightmare. But the hospital seemed to conspire against me. Doors slammed shut, blocking my path, and the flickering lights cast twisted shadows that seemed to reach out, threatening to ensnare me. Panic welled up inside me as I realized there was no way out. Cornered in a dead-end hallway, I turned to face the approaching werewolf. Its snarls grew louder, its fangs glinting in the dim light. With no other options left, I reached into my pocket and withdrew a small vial of liquid, a potent mixture of silver and wolfsbane. Summoning every ounce of courage, I flung the vial at the creature, praying that it would buy me enough time to escape. The liquid struck the werewolf, sizzling and smoking upon contact. The creature let out a blood-curdling shriek, writhing in pain. Using the distraction to my advantage, I turned and ran, my heart pounding in my ears. Behind me, the werewolf's howls of fury echoed through the corridors, its pursuit relentless. I pushed myself to the limits, fueled by sheer survival instinct. Just as I thought I couldn't go on any longer, I burst through the entrance of the abandoned hospital, the moonlight offering a glimmer of hope. With one final leap, I escaped the clutches of the werewolf, leaving the cursed building and its horrors behind. As I collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath, a mix of relief and terror washed over me. I had survived the encounter with the werewolf, but the memory of that night would forever haunt my dreams. The knowledge that such creatures existed in the shadows would forever remind me of the fragile line between reality and the supernatural. The crackling of the campfire was the only sound that pierced the stillness of the night as my friends and I gathered around it. We had set up camp deep in the heart of the forest, seeking solace in nature's embrace. Little did I know that this camping trip would forever change my life. As the moon rose high above the towering trees, casting an ethereal glow upon our campsite, a strange unease settled within me. The shadows danced and swayed, their movements taunting my senses. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As we sat around the fire sharing stories and laughter, I noticed a subtle change in one of my friends, Jake. His eyes seemed to glimmer with an unearthly light, and his movements became more agile, almost feral. My heart skipped a beat as a realization dawned upon me, a realization that defied logic and reason. Curiosity compelled me to observe Jake more closely. searching for any signs that could confirm my suspicions. One night, as the others slept soundly in their tents, I decided to venture into the forest, keeping a watchful eye on Jake from a distance. I followed him stealthily, my footsteps muted by the forest floor. Moonlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting elongated shadows upon the ground. My heart pounded in my chest, anticipation mingled with fear. What would I uncover in the depths of the forest? As Jake reached a clearing bathed in moonlight, a transformation began to unfold. His body contorted, bones cracking and shifting. His once human form morphed into that of a hulking beast, a werewolf. Horror consumed me as I watched, hidden in the underbrush. The creature's snout elongated, sharp fangs glinting in the moonlight. Its limbs grew muscular, ending in deadly claws. The werewolf's eyes burned with an unholy fire, its gaze fixated on the night sky. Frozen in terror, I struggled to comprehend what I was witnessing. My friend, the gentle and kind Jake, was a werewolf. My mind raced, attempting to make sense of the impossible. How long had he kept this secret? And more importantly, what would he do now? I remained hidden, observing Jake's movements with a mixture of dread and fascination. The werewolf prowled the clearing, its senses heightened, as if reveling in the freedom of its true form. The night seemed to belong to it, a realm where its primal instincts ruled supreme. My thoughts turned to my friends, still sleeping peacefully in their tents. They were oblivious to the true nature of the creature in their midst. Panic surged through me as I realized the danger they were in. I had to protect them, even if it meant confronting Jake. Summoning every ounce of courage, I stepped out of the shadows, my voice trembling as I called out to him. "Jake!" I shouted, my words swallowed by the night. The werewolf's head snapped towards me, its eyes narrowing as if assessing the threat I posed. Fear and confusion flickered in Jake's eyes as recognition crossed his transformed face. It was a fleeting moment of humanity amidst the beast's ferocity. The air was heavy with tension as we stood there, locked in a silent standoff. With a voice that was more growl than human, Jake spoke. "You weren't supposed to see this," he said, his words laced with a mixture of resignation and sorrow. "You should leave. Forget what you've seen." But I couldn't turn my back on my friends, ignorant of the danger lurking in the shadows. I took a step forward, my voice trembling but resolute. "I won't leave without making sure they're safe," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. For a moment it seemed as if a flicker of understanding passed between us. Jake's gaze softened, a hint of gratitude shining through the fierce facade of the werewolf. He knew the risks, the sacrifices that would have to be made. With a nod he turned away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. I knew he would keep his distance, watching over us from the shadows. It was a fragile truce, one forged in the crucible of secrecy and friendship. I returned to the campsite, my heart heavy with the weight of the truth I now carried. I knew that from that moment on, our lives would never be the same. But armed with knowledge, I would be vigilant, protecting my friends from the night's monstrous secrets. The camping trip continued, our laughter and camaraderie masking the newfound knowledge that lay between us. But deep down, I knew that beneath the facade of normalcy, a werewolf prowled, forever changing the dynamics of our friendship.